The Northman is directed by Robert Eggers and stars Alexander Skarsgård, Ethan Hawke, Nicole Kidman, and among others. In this story, it is set in the Viking times, where you have a young prince who grows up, played by Alexander Skarsgård, named Amleth, who wants to essentially get revenge on some stuff that went down with his a tragedy that happened. I won't go into too much detail, but let's just say that he's trying to get his revenge on someone that caused a death, so to speak. Now, and then as the movie goes along, he starts to encounter this girl that's played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and they essentially team up in order to stop the person that he's going after. Now, and I'll leave it at there because there's some other stuff that I can't really go into detail without spoiling. But here's some backstory. Now, this movie was directed by Robert Eggers, who I've grown to really appreciate a lot of his works, especially coming off of his movies like The Witch, that I found as one of the best movies, I think, of 2016 when it came out. And then he also did the Lighthouse a few years ago that I found really enjoyable too. And I've really grown to attach to this director, with him essentially having the talent of going into a whole lot of detail with a lot of its production values, the way he makes his movies, and setting the period pieces that he puts in with. It showcases a lot of his style as a filmmaker, and while he is really known for more of the horror genre, it seemed like with this one he was trying to tell more of what it was like in the Vikings, and telling a historically accurate tale of the Vikings that we don't really get too often. And so, from the trailers, it got me interested because I do like these epic movies that we get every now and then, especially movies like Gladiator, 300, and even last year when we had movies like The Last Duel that come out that really, present themselves in these big epic, movies that you just don't really see in theaters too much anymore. And I'm glad that movies like this are actually getting more of the attention that they should. Especially, it just shows that there are movies that can deal with these kind of like epic scales and being able to showcase a lot of what the director is known for. And so, after getting the chance to finally see the film, I can honestly say this is definitely one of the best movies I've seen so far this year. And I think between this and probably The Witch, I might probably have this about tied with The Witch. There's aspects I liked a little more in The Witch, but they're completely two different films from what the director's done, but I still really enjoyed this movie a lot. And so, to get my pros out of the way, the cast I thought in this were all fantastic. Alexander Skarsgård is really good in this, especially, with him having to play this very brooding and very, intense Viking that's trying to get his revenge and stuff. It really showcased a lot of him as not only as an actor, but also just the way that he has to go along this journey. I really found his character very fascinating to go through. And while there is some stuff, certainly, that you could argue of how they don't really present the movie with really trying to showcase while there is some aspects to the film that I can see that people can have debates on with how they present themselves with the characters in the film that aren't necessarily considered likable. I think that actually goes along with the movie because it really is presenting itself as a tale of what the Vikings were like back in those days, and it really showcased a lot of the brutal stuff that they actually went on with in those times. And so with here, it's no different than what we've pretty much seen in those and heard about in those stories. And so the way that the movie carries along with that, with Eggers' direction, it really puts itself into a lot of the brutal shit that you really see yourself along with. I'm not going to go into detail, but let's just say that they get away with some stuff I couldn't believe that you don't really see too often in movies like this anymore. And to get my other pros out of the way, the rest of the cast were great too, especially Nicole Kidman, who I thought really stole certain scenes in this film that she really goes for it. And this is probably one of my favorite performances of her that I've seen in years. And then, of course, you also got the other cast, like, William Dafoe's in it for a short period, and then you also have Anya Taylor-Joy, who's fantastic as usual, who's a regular in Robert Eggers' films since one of her earliest films that she was in was The Witch, and she was great in that movie. And then you also have other ones that come in that I didn't really expect, like Ethan Hawke, who's in it, and you also have that one Icelandic singer named, how do you pronounce it? Bjork? I'm sorry if I can't pronounce her name, but she's in it too. And I thought she was really good in the movie too, as this kind of prophet, so to speak. But get into my other pros. I got to really say the style and the way that Eggers really goes along with the movie. It really has like some really great scenes that showcase the lighting and the way that you see some of the nighttime scenes that appear very dreamlike, and just the way that it moves along with the story. It really puts you in that kind of like weird kind of state that that Eggers puts in all of in the last few movies I've seen, where it's almost like it's kind of plain psychological, but it goes along with the vision, so to speak, that Alexander Skarsgård character is going through. And I really think that those sequences where he's like seeing those visions and stuff, they are really like quite fascinating to watch at times. And then going into other pros, I got to really appreciate a lot of the production design, the way it's set in like the old times with the Vikings. It really puts a lot of great, emphasis on what we appeared back in those days. If I have like any really minor cons, I will say that the movie does have it to where, even though we do see the journey that gets across with Skarsgård's character, I really did feel like there's something that they could have focused a little bit more on, and maybe seen a little bit more of the bonding that happens with him and his father a little bit in the beginning. That really kind of builds up a little more toward the actual beginning of where it all leads up to. But other than that, though, I thought the movie was still fantastic, and I really enjoyed the way this story played out. And there are some pretty big reveals in this film that really caught me off guard, and I was really shocked to see how it played out toward the end. But other than that, overall, I will say I highly enjoyed the movie a lot, and I definitely can't wait to see what Eggers does next. And with that, I'm going to give The Northman a phenomenal grade on the Film Phreeks meter. So, for those of you who've also seen The Northman, let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. And thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in my next review. I'll see you later.